Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you see in the video description below, today I'm going to talk about my experience being on a Japanese prank show and give you kind of some insight of behind the scenes. So let's get into it. Let's go. So, as you probably know, Japanese prank shows are quite popular around the world for just how crazy they are. Whether that be trying to go up a flight of grease stairs in a colorful wetsuit, or one of the shows where they have people test objects, food in the shape of objects, and see if it's food or not. So like I think they had this one where like a chocolate shoe, but it looks exactly like a real shoe, and he has to bite down and see if it's a shoe or not. So these kind of shows have become popular all around the world just because of how intense they are. The prank show that I was on was very recent. I actually was shooting last month for it. The theme was making people fall through the floor, having the floor go out from underneath them, and that was the entire theme. It was a 2-hour special, and so I have my computer here to go over the video with you, and I can tell you everything that's happening behind the scenes for each part. So let's get started. Okay, so towards the beginning, they had basically, I guess these kind of like somewhat popular athletes pretend like they're gonna do like some dives or some like jumps to show their athletic ability on TV. So they are tricked into saying, okay, you're gonna jump from here to here or dive from here to here, and we just wanna see your like athletic ability, like how quick you can do it or how cool it looks. What they don't know is as they're going from here to here, the floor underneath them is gonna fall out. And so as they expecting to go forward, they actually go down. So one of my favorite ones here, see if I can pull her up. This little like female, she's like a baseball player, and they want to see her dive for the ball, and they put the ball. I'll just show you. Here we go. Here we go. Now here, I'll pause it. Here is the main comedian. His name is Kasuga-san, and he's a very popular Japanese comedian, and this show is going to be basically about him, the later half, and that's this part that I was in. So, okay, so as you see the theme, people falling to the floors. You got it. This series, or this episode, is going to be about tricking this guy, this comedian, into believing that he's going to be the next Godzilla. He's going to play the next role for Godzilla for a Hollywood movie, because I guess the new Godzilla movie's coming out. And so we were hired, I guess, to be the Hollywood staff to kind of trick him into, you know, to thinking that he was going to be hired by us to play the role of Godzilla. But before we get into that, I'll tell you that for this audition, because we had to go to audition for this role. I went to the audition back in April, the end of April, and my agent called me and he was like, hey Chris, we have this role that we think you'd be good at, can you speak Japanese? I was like, yeah, you know, conversational, and he was like, oh, that's perfect. And so I was like, okay, and he's like, and so I asked him what was the part for, and he said, well, you're going to be playing the role of a director for some show. I was like, okay, that's fine, you know, whatever. So I get to the studio, and when I get to the studio, there's 4 or 5 other guys. One of them is a really good friend of mine. Go to the studio, go into this audition, and all these guys are literally, almost all these guys are fluent in Japanese. Like, they're really good. Their Japanese is really good. So we get to the audition room. We're all in 5 different chairs, just sitting down. And then the casting director and the director's there, and then he says, okay, here's our staff member. He's gonna pretend he's Godzilla. Please, as a director, direct him into how to like destroy the city. Like, what do you want to see him to do? You want him to stomp more, move his tail around? But please do this all in Japanese. And I was starting to get nervous, like, oh crap, like I have to direct this Japanese staff member in Japanese on how to be Godzilla. So the first 2 guys go up, first guy goes up and his Japanese is pretty good, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting nervous. And then my friend goes up and his Japanese is better than mine, and he did a really excellent job. And I see the other guys, their Japanese is fluent, and I'm getting real nervous, like, oh crap, I'm next, and my Japanese is crap, and I'm gonna be like kind of embarrassed in front of these guys. So the only thing I could do is I decided to use my super basic Japanese with a lot of gestures. And apparently what I did was humorous to the casting director, enough to where they were laughing. And after that, everyone did their audition, the casting director and director told everyone to leave except me and my friend. But the other guys were actually really good. Like, they looked like real directors. It was crazy. But anyways, they told everyone to leave except me and my friend stay. And he looked at me and he's like, okay, we don't want you for the director, but we want you to be the staff member. And I was like, okay. And they said, okay, so you're gonna go like the next week or next day, you're gonna go to the clinic to meet Kasuga, and you're gonna kind of follow him around and talk to him. I was like, all right, that's fine. So yeah, got the part, but I wasn't the director, I was the staff member. But yeah, all right, let's go on further. Also, so back to what the whole premise is about, was basically we're convincing this guy, this Kasuga-san, that he's going to be the next Godzilla. And at the very end, we're just going to have him like at this press conference, I guess. I didn't know any of this, by the way. Like, they didn't explain any of this to me when I got the role, when I was hired as a staff member. I didn't find this out until like the very last day. It was a 4-day shoot. And by last day, they had this like huge press conference. They paid for like 20, I'll get into it later, how many extras they paid for, everything. But the whole goal is to have him walk down this like runway-esque thing and have him fall through the floor at the end. And that was like this big setup. The entire prank was about that. Let's get started. Okay, so now we're coming up to the first scene that I'm in. This was actually the audition scene where they're having Kasuga-san and another pretty famous older Japanese guy. We're the Hollywood staff and we're auditioning them for the role of Godzilla. And you see I'm here in the far left with my suit and tie, and I have a handheld camera. Okay, so they're coming down. And this was actually the second day of shooting. This was not the first day, but they're playing it off as the first day. So basically, they're having Kasuga and this other guy, Watanabe-san. We're having them act like Godzilla. So we'll show some clips here. Wait, oh, there I am. Now here, you see this, his name is Colorado. He's a really cool guy. He has a mic in his ear. And basically, the director is saying everything, telling him what to say through Japanese, but he has to say it in English. But his Japanese is really good. That's why he got the role. Okay, so anyways, talking, about to go to the audition. Watanabe, the old guy right here, his English is actually really good. His English was actually really good, and he was in on the trick, like he was in on the joke. But anyways, Kasuga gets up, this is the comedian, and this is his English. So now you're gonna hear his level of English, and this is what it was.
My name is Kasuga, Japanese comedian, like Godzilla, children, like children.
And they're basically making fun of like, why do you say my like children? Like, he was actually quite funny in person, like when we were doing it. Like, it was hard actually not to laugh. And so finally, here's English. Start the auditioning. So they go up on stage. Watanabe-san goes up stage. He does a really good Godzilla, like walking and stuff. And Kasuga goes a little crazy. Like, he takes off his shirt and runs around, which is a little weird. It's like, okay, maybe he's in on this, but it was a little weird, but they cut all that out. But they show the scene where we ask him to do sexy Godzilla.
More sexy.
Yeah, the director tells him more sexy. Yeah. he goes out. Like, they cut a lot out. They really cut. Like, he was really funny. Like, at one point they were asking, all right, we want to see like a really kind Godzilla. Like, he's sad that he's destroying the city. So hold on, I'll do it. I'll show the example. Hold on, push it back. So at one point they say, okay, we want to see a kind Godzilla. So he was like, okay, so. It was like, what is he doing? So yeah. So yeah, you see the sexy Godzilla. Next is, so he does it, you see it's fun. Audition, they cut a lot out, but it was still fun. Now, this was actually the first day. Now we go to the next scene. This was the first day of shooting where I was in the clinic and I had to basically follow him around with a handheld camera, and I was like the Hollywood staff trying to record his physical fitness check. So his blood test, his vocals, they've had an EKG, they did like this running test, and here they cut a lot out except the running test. And I'll show you, they have him run on this treadmill for like 10 straight minutes with this mask on. So now they have him have this mask on and he's like dying, like it smells really bad in the room at this point. Like you can smell sweat, like because it's a small room and everyone there is sweaty. Yeah, he starts coughing into it. It's really nasty. He smells it. Yeah, like he like it was bad. It was really bad. Like the entire room, we're all holding a straight face, but it smelled awful in there. Okay, now on to the next scene. The next scene is basically he won the part. Obviously, hey, congratulations, you won the audition. Hollywood people, they want you to go to the studio and put on motion capture suit and to pretend like you're Godzilla, how it looks like, you know, in a motion capture suit. So now this is the role that was big for me, but they cut out completely. They've cut out a lot. But basically I was the role, I was gonna be in they put me in a motion capture suit too, and I was to fight him, Kasuga. We actually did, we had in the studio, we had this big fight where him and I were like actually fighting like Godzilla monsters. And at one point he actually picked me up and put me around his neck and like twirled me around, and it was like crazy. It was fun. And we also got to like throw balls at him, pretend they were like meteors or missiles. And the guy the director in the mic earphone was telling us to aim towards his groin area. So it was good, but they cut all of that out. But yeah, they made like this was 4 days of shooting, 4 days. So each day was like, I was there for like 8 hours each time, and he was there for like 3, 4, 5 hours each day. And they have to break it down to a 45-minute segment. So they cut out a lot. Okay, so anyways, here's him in the studio. So he's pretending he's in the motion capture suit. And you see, it changes into the dinosaur. Actually, at one point, they had me as a dinosaur too, and I was like dancing, but they cut that out, obviously. And the final scene. This is the final scene. Basically, here we have a press conference. All right. Okay, so here's the final scene. We're at this big press conference, and all these people here sitting down, these are all paid extras. All paid extras. And they provided lunch and everything for them. Plus, the 4 actors, me included, and Colorado, and the cameraman, and the Japanese woman, Japanese translator woman. They paid for all of this just to see that floor there, how it's kind of dipping down a little bit, that checkered floor. That's the floor that he's going to fall through. And then underneath that floor is a pool of water, and it's a pool of very hot water. Actually, it was quite hot because I actually wanted to see myself. So before they put it over the cover, I put my hand in it just to see like how hot it really was, and it was like onsen, like hot spring hot, like, you know. Now, hot spring hot might not be so hot for you, but when you're not expecting it, it burns like crazy. And so at this point, like, it was kind of obvious that we knew that Kasuga kind of like was in on the joke, like he knew that he was being tricked. But the part where he falls through the water, that actually I think was a surprise for him. Like, I don't think he actually was expecting that. And this was the big money shot. Okay, so now he comes out in this Godzilla mask and he's walking out. That's his Godzilla pose. He does his like Godzilla pose, and he does it with a mask on. So yeah, he takes it off, and there you see me right there. I'm standing there watching, just kind of laughing. All right, so he takes it off, and here comes the money shot. He's pretending he's still in the Godzilla mine. Yep, there I am, about to watch it, and here's the money shot. Now, it's not that exciting. It really wasn't. But, I'm pausing. That water again was really hot. So watch what happens. He's saying, he's like, atsu, atsu, which means like really hot. It really was hot. So the top, Jesus. it burns because he has that clothing on. And he literally takes off his pants. And then they run out and surprise him. And he's like, haha, we got you. And that was it. That was the prank. Those 4 days, I was involved for at least over 12 hours of shooting. I was in, but they cut out a lot. And all for this one moment of him falling in the water. Yep. So yeah, that's it. that was the whole big thing. I think it was, honestly, they spent so much money for this like 10 seconds of payoff. I think it was, you know, it's obviously because he's a popular comedian, Japanese comedian, so they're going to spend more money on it. Also, I think it's a promotion for the Godzilla movie here in Japan. But yeah, that was my experience. That was some insight behind the scenes. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a comment below. Let me know if you did or not. Also, if you want to see me do something else in the future, tell more stories about my acting experience here, please let me know in the comments below too as well. If you like the video, like the video. If you want to subscribe, that would be great too. If you don't want to, that's cool, no worries. But anyways, guys, I hope you have a fantastic day or night wherever you are. And as always, peace, guys.